ceremony for 2021 of the new South High School. As you can see, it's coming along pretty good here in the back, and very excited about this project. Before we go into the program, we're going to have a presentation of the colors by the Air Force Junior ROTC of South High Community School. If you want to.
Forward. March. Guy. Right. Color guy. Out. Right. Hey. Freeze in. Out.
Please remain standing. First, I want to thank Chief Ronald Tyson, who's the chief in charge of the ROTC, and also we have the national anthem sung by Heather Bashan from the student at South High Community School.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and rockets would glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Nice job, Heather. Please remain standing for the invocation by the Reverend Monsignor Francis Scollin, pastor of St. Peter and St. Andrew's the Apostle parishes.
I'd like to begin by paraphrasing from Psalm 87, which entitles, "The Home of All Nations." His foundation upon the holy mountain, says the Lord. Glorious things are said of you. Among those who know the Lord, a person was born here. All were born in her. When the people are enrolled, a person was born here. They shall sing in their festive dance, my home is within you. Lord, we gather to ask your blessing and inspiration in our lives. In this month of new beginnings, may this gathering signify in our lives a new beginning. As we lay a firm foundation, may everything be completed to learn, to welcome, to include, to celebrate the people we long to become. May our efforts build solidarity. May we build a home in which we feel secure and nurtured. May all of our leaders here today know that we are called to serve and create a new heaven and a new earth. As our new building, may we fit together and continue to build a firm foundation. Lord, fill us with faith, hope, and love. Bless us as we bless others. Give meaning to all and joy. Amen. Happy day to all.
Thank you, Monsignor. Before we go into the program, you can take a seat, everyone. Thank you. I just want to thank the color guard by Adolph Frimpong, Savannah Lee, Wendy Pond, and Brenda Orgando. Thank you very much. Good job. Most important part of the program was pull away the announcement of the elected officials. Before we go to the program, I just want to announce some of our state officials and local officials who are here. We have Senator Harriet Chandler. Harriet. We have District Attorney Joe Worley. State Representative David LaBeouf. We have City Councilor Matt Wall, your district councilor. And also City Councilor Soraya Rivera, who a lot of her school district comes to this school as a feeder schools. We have City Councilor and former Mayor Constantina Lukes. And we have Mo Bergman on the City Council. We also have Kate Toomey, City Councilor. From the school committee, we have Diana Biancaria. We have the Vice Chair, Molly McCullough. And we have John Monfredo. And Senator Moore, just arrival. So I just want to thank everybody for coming today. It's a beautiful day here, and it's a beautiful school. This school is going to be state-of-the-art. I just want to also, I know Maureen's going to announce all the former principals who are here, like 13 of them or something, or seven of them. I think it was under Jim Garvey's tutelage that changed every year. But I just want to welcome Jim Garvey and P. Vona, who gave their lives to the Worcester Public Schools. You know, this school is going to be built in 2021. We're going to have the opening, along with the Worcester Red Sox at the same time. And two great projects here in the city of Worcester. And we have two people who I believe in a lot, both the superintendent and the city manager. And the money that it's going to be spent on this to make sure this is a state-of-the-art school. And over the 10-year period, really think about it, it's going to be probably, if you count Doherty High School, you're probably looking at in the last several years and going forward, about $750 million that we're going to be putting into the Worcester Public Schools. And I think that's a lot. It just shows what the elected officials here want to do for the future of Worcester. And I'm proud to be part of that. And because there's a lot of competition going out there with the schools. And people are going, looking at the towns, investing in all new high schools, and we have to do the same here in the city of Worcester. And that's also, this couldn't be done as a team. This is a team effort. We have a great relationship with Deb Goldberg, the treasurer. It wasn't for her, this school wouldn't be being built. It wasn't for her, Doherty High would not be being done. And Jack McCarthy is here from the MSBA. And without their leadership here, we wouldn't be here today. They believe in the leadership here in Worcester. If they didn't think we were going to be doing it right, they wouldn't be here today. So thank you, Jack, and to say to the treasurer, thank you also. And of course, Paul Moosey and his gang, and of course, has done a great job building school. He has a good track record with Russ Adams, and you look at Nelson Place School, under budget, on time, energy neutral school, and he's going to do a great job. He's doing a great job building this school. Russ and the commissioner, good job. Very proud of everything you're doing. Of course, the architects, Guillermo Pagano, the general contractor, Fontaine Brothers, and they have a great history here in the city of Worcester building schools also. And this school isn't about the building, it's about the education, generation of our leaders, future leaders and learners with the power of the state economy, be able to access a fully modern multi-use auditorium and media center, multiple science labs. This is a whole different school, I'm worried. Then 3 vocational programs, early childhood education, a culinary training track, and a diesel engine technician program, and new turf practice field and playing fields will be laid out for all our athletes from softball to football. Finally, for the first time, Andy's Attic will have its first purpose-built home where we'll be able to continue the great work here in the city of Worcester. So I just want to thank you for having me here today. We're committed to this project. We're committed to this making school a great school, and it's going to be a great school. I just want to bring up the Superintendent, Maureen Benenda, to say a few words. Maureen.
Welcome, everyone. I just want to give you a little history of what topping out or topping the beam means. So at one time, Europe was covered with a vast forest. Those who lived in the forest were dependent on trees for their survival. The full, low-hanging boughs provided shelter, the nuts and fruits furnished food, and the fallen dead wood supplied kindling for their fires. Because of this great dependence on the forest, people began to revere trees. In fact, trees were the most common deity in Europe prior to the adoption of Christianity. Scandinavian mythology suggests that humans originated from trees, and our souls return to the trees after death. giving each tree a spirit of its own. Humans began constructing their shelter with wood. Before cutting a tree, they would formally address the forest, reminding it of the consideration they had always shown towards trees and asking the forest to grant use of a tree for construction of their home. When the house was complete, the topmost leafy branch of the tree would be set atop the roof of the tree spirit so the tree spirit would not be rendered homeless. The gesture was supposed to convince the tree spirit of the sincere appreciation of those building the home. As time passed, the early conception of tree worship gradually changed. The individual tree spirits merged into a single forest god who could pass freely from tree to tree. Trees were no longer placed atop the home to appease spirits, but rather to enlist the blessings of the forest god. The tree branches on top of the home ensured fertility of the land and the home. The custom of placing a tree on a completed structure came with immigrants to the United States and became a part of American culture. Today, the custom is continued on completed structures such as bridges, skyscrapers, and schools. Iron workers are the ones that carried on the topping out tradition. While others join the celebration of topping out, it is the iron workers and the skills that make them first to reach the pinnacle of a structure, and it is around this group of workers that topping off revolves. So 1 year ago, we all gathered at South High for the groundbreaking. Who among us could imagine this grand structure that is risen from the land? I am sure you share the excitement and the continued dreaming that occurs now every day as we place this last steel beam this morning. I'm honored to speak today at this topping off ceremony to show our appreciation to the workers for their hard work and a job well done. Today's ceremony represents a sign the job is being completed on time and safely. Today we gather together craftsmen, architects, the general contractor, state, city, district, school partners, and students to acknowledge each other's contribution to this project and celebrate the ongoing teamwork. This topping off ceremony represents luck, success, accomplishment, triumph. It is a symbol of teamwork, quality, craftsmanship, and luck for the future. To mark progress, grand construction projects require grand gestures. Today is a grand gesture. And to signify that, I'd like to ask the principals of South High that have been here since 1978 to please stand up. We also acknowledge the passing of Dr. John Whalen and also our principal, George Laska. So we have Dr. James Garvey here, followed by Peter Vona, followed by Principal Mary Harrington, followed by Principal Maureen Ciccone, followed by myself, followed by Principal Diane Lynch, followed by brand new principal and past student, Jeffrey Creamer. I also would like to give a round of applause. So I think that the significance of our principals being here shows about the significance of what this school and the staff and the students meant and mean every day to the people that have worked here. So I think that is amazing to have 7 principals here, and I also think that at South High we also want our students to become civic leaders. So the state rep for this district is now our own past student, David LaBeouf. So we'd also like to recognize David LaBeouf as being here, our student who now represents our district. So with that, I'm proud to welcome you all here. It's an exciting ceremony. And I have the honor of now introducing our great city manager, Ed Augustus.
Thank you, Maureen. I'm going to do all the traditional thank yous, but as I was sitting here and kind of looking at Sullivan Middle School, I couldn't help but to think Harley Chandler and I, 30 years ago when we were members of the school committee, were down there when we broke ground for that school. And it's amazing to me if you stop and think about it. Maureen was talking about trees and kind of the historic connection to trees in today's topping off event. And I once heard that the most generous thing somebody could do is plant a tree whose shade they're not necessarily going to benefit from. But it's a connection with the future. And it's kind of a compact between generations. And as I sat here and thinking about what we're doing today and what happened 30 years ago at Sullivan Middle School, we collectively as a community, as elected and appointed officials, as men and women, as designers, as all of the folks who've been involved in this project, we're basically planting a tree whose shade we won't all fully benefit from, but future generations will. And when those young people back there are sitting in these chairs up here, they're going to be able to look back and say, you know what, that generation did something that benefited us and future generations. And there's something pretty profound about that. So we should really appreciate and kind of take note of the significance of this moment, because for the next 40 or 50 years, young people from Worcester are going to come to this school, are going to receive first-class educations that are going to change their lives, inspire them, put them on paths to do amazing things for our city, for our state, and for our country. And that's a pretty big deal. I want to just add the appreciation that the mayor and the superintendent mentioned for all the folks who are involved in this. Our state legislative delegation, the MSBA, who are great partners, making sure that we have the resources to build these schools. The Worcester City Council, who have unanimously supported the city appropriations for this, the school committee and the staff of the school department who've put together a great design for this school that's going to expand the Chapter 74 offerings, so the vocational offerings, making sure kids who want that opportunity are going to have that as part of this new South High School. I'm particularly proud and want to acknowledge, because we hear a lot when something doesn't go wrong, but we don't take enough time to say when things go right. The team at DPW, Paul Moosey, Russ Adams, Jeremy Flansburgh, Nelson Place School, $2 million under budget, on time, energy neutral. South High School, I was here 3 weeks ago, under budget as of now, and we're going to hope to finish it that way, on time. Nobody's paying attention to that, and when nobody's paying attention, it means everything's going right. So we really appreciate all that you do to make that happen. And I think a special shout out needs to go to the mayor. He has been so tenacious and so passionate about advocating for this school, for Doherty High School, for Burncoat, for East Middle. God knows how we're going to pay for everything, but he continues to advocate and to make sure that every kid gets the benefits of a brand new state-of-the-art educational facility. He really understands how important that is to our future. So we're lucky we have a leader in Mayor Petty who's so not only so passionate but so effective at working with our state partners and our local elected officials to get this done. So we're fortunate there. This is a great legacy, as the mayor said. If you think about between Doherty and South High School and Nelson Place, the ballpark has gotten so much more attention. It's a big deal. Bringing the Red Sox brand to Worcester is exciting. It's created a lot of buzz, not only here but beyond. But we're building more than 5 times the ballparks in terms of educational opportunities. We have our priorities exactly right here in this city. We're putting 5 times the resources we're putting in that ballpark in the kids of Worcester, in the future of Worcester. So we can do 2 things at once, and this is a great example of Worcester getting it right. So congratulations to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manager, and thank you for writing those checks. Much appreciated. Ed started his whole career in education and is really committed to education. And it's an easy sell, even though we have those private conversations. Sometimes it's not so easy. But good job, and I appreciate it. Our next speaker, and we couldn't be those ones, our state partners were part of this. And please welcome Senator Michael Moore to the podium. Senator Moore.
Hear me okay? this better? Okay. Well, it's great to be here today. It's actually kind of a funny story. As I'm leaving the house this morning, I'm halfway here, and I'm looking forward to coming to this ceremony. I got a call from my son, who is home, and I don't know if he overslept or whatever, but he was missing his bus. So I had to rush back to the house, go get him, and then I'm rushing here for this event. So it's just kind of ironic having all the school being the focus of this morning. But 11 years ago, when I first came into office, I think this is one of the first projects that I was contacted about by the now superintendent and by Mayor Petty and some other local officials on the need for this school to be. Is this better? You can't hear me? No. How's this? Is this better? Can anyone hear me? Okay. All right. There we go. So so I was contacted by the superintendent, and as we're touring here, and actually the MSBA was great. I think I had them out here probably 3 or 4 times walking to school. And you ever sit back and you look at when you hear how something's designed and built, and as we're walking through this, they're talking about this open classroom type philosophy, which I guess was popular 20 or 30 years ago. And Worcester was one of the last schools to actually have this. There were 2 schools in the state that had this open classroom philosophy, which for the students, I don't know how they would be able to concentrate having partitions that would basically be the classroom. And the others, they had a pool, and underneath the pool was all the power and electricity. So it's kind of funny on how the design of the building. But I think as the city manager talked about communities and the future, legacies and what we pass on. You know, we talk so much about in government supporting the economy, infrastructure, roads, but and other type of social issues. The main thing I think that our responsibility is to these kids, the children that we have going to the schools. They're our legacy. They're going to be our community. They're going to be our leaders. They're going to be up here making the decisions and the ones that we count on. So whatever skills and resources we can give them, I think is incumbent upon us to do that. I think every community is going to be judged by the value that they put and investments they put into their students or their children. And talking of value, just so you know the commitment between the state and local resources, this is a $209 million project. $112 million is being picked up by the MSBA, and $97 million is going to be covered by the city of Worcester. So if you're looking for investments, and that's not counting the other investments that were made in the school buildings that the city manager talked about. So I can't think of anything that speaks better of the city of Worcester and its residents. So thank you. It's great to be here. And let me pass it on. Oh. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Moore and Senator Harry Chandler and David LaBeouf represent the state legislature. We couldn't do this alone, and they're all part of this. And Senator Chandler has been a real leader for a number of years here in the city of Worcester, and a leader in Boston to make sure all the issues are addressed that face the city of Worcester. Please welcome Senator Harry Chandler.
I'm happy this morning, so please forgive me. That he and I started, can you hear me now? He and I, City Manager Augustus and I started together on the school committee a long time ago. And this has always been a key city for us, a key school for us. And I look at the principals, starting with Dr. Garvey and my former neighbor, Mr. Vona. We go back a long, long way. This school has become one of the outstanding schools, not just in the city, but really an outstanding school in this whole area. And we're so proud of it. Can you all hear me? Okay? It's hard to tell from this distance. And so it is very fitting that the school be built at this point in time. We've tried for a long time to make sure that this school would be built, and it has not always been easy. And it's always a pleasure when we see Jack McCarthy come with a check and with his blessings, which is very, very important to us. And it's hard to believe that this school is going to cost almost the same amount of money that Newton North cost 10 years ago. Newton North, if you remember, was considered the Taj Mahal of schools. Well, it's fitting that the Worcester schools and the Worcester students, should have those opportunities and should have a school that is going to be unique, that is going to be special, and is going to be able to educate, as my colleague Senator Moore said, the future leaders of this city and this Commonwealth, and probably this country. This is one of the best jobs we have when we come with money and see a school that is going to be built. Schools are happy parts of our job because that's how we educate the future. You are the future, and we wish you well in this wonderful school that you're about to have built. Take care.
Thank you, Senator. Our next speaker, who loves the idea of having a new high school in his district, as a newly elected official, as a state representative, and a student at South High. Please welcome State Representative David LaBeouf.
Yeah, well, some people still think I am a student here. But again, thank you everyone for being here, and really I get to reap the benefit of coming into office and seeing this wonderful work that's been done by those who come before me in the legislature, my colleagues, my Senate colleagues, and all of those here who have led us in the city to make sure that we prioritized this community. It was actually, as I was preparing today, I went back and I actually looked up. I had the fortunate opportunity to be the graduation speaker for South 11 years ago. And I just wanted to read a couple of excerpts from the speech that I gave that actually is surprisingly serendipitous for this occasion. So one of the parts I said says, through the years, few people have ever taken the time to genuinely look at our school, to immerse themselves in the true essence of South High. What many people do not understand about our school, besides the fact that we don't have walls, is that we have something that is so powerful, so strong, that it becomes part of the fabric of our identities. What we have is community. People have always labeled South as an urban high school isolated on Apricot Hill. That label could not be further from the truth. The fact is that South High is the embodiment of that urban heritage which has defined this city and continues to serve as the model for our future advancement. Our school's diversity forms a bond, not a separation. Our cultural differences are used to bring forth unity, not form a wedge to divide us. It is this diversity, it is this mixed heritage which serves as the lifeblood of our high school. We may not have walls, but we also don't have limits. We do not have boundaries, and we do not have barriers holding us back. South High is not simply a stepping stone towards something greater. South High is the cornerstone which serves as a foundation for the rest of our lives. It is that solid rock which we base our values upon. South High is not just a school built of brick. It is a shared experience, a common personality, and a unifying factor. And it's such a privilege that after this 11 years ago when I made that statement, to see how far we've come, how far we've really been recognized that the families of this community, of my district, my neighbors, deserve that Taj Mahal, deserve that school that is befitting of that spirit that embodies a school. And this is going to be the first time I'm ever going to say this publicly, but thank God we're finally building a wall. I mean, thank you. Thank you. I mean, for years, every time that I went, when I had to explain, my high school had no walls. They asked me, where did you go? Did you work in a farm stay? Like, what does that even mean, you don't have walls? And it was something that I actually would bring, when I would tour the school, I'd bring people that were new to the city of Worcester to see that environment. And it is such an honor and a privilege to be here for this topping off ceremony and for finally our students to be recognized for all they're doing and for the building to finally match the values that this school takes place. So again, thank you everyone for being here and congratulations on this wonderful occasion.
Thank you, David. Our next speaker, Jack McCarthy from MSBA. Again, a great partnership with the MSBA. It wasn't for Jack, I said earlier, and Deb Goldberg and the staff at the MSBA, this school would not be being built. we put in, since I've been mayor, we put in about $60 million into the roofs, windows, boilers, into a lot of Worcester public schools over the last 10 years. And that's a lot of money. And a lot of jurisdictions don't even get that. And Jack, I want to thank you for doing that with us and working with us. But Maureen was telling me a story that after Jack was here earlier in the groundbreaking, he had a fundraiser in Boston for the Indies Addict, and brought that money back here to the city of Worcester. This guy cares about the city of Worcester. Great partner. Please welcome Jack McCarthy.
Good morning, everybody. On behalf of Treasurer Goldberg and the rest of the MSBA staff and this zephyr that's blowing in, thank you for allowing me to be part of this ceremony. Did Heather go back to school? Oh, that's too bad. She was awesome. So I'm a big fan of The Voice, and when she was singing that, I said, if I was one of those judges, I would turn my chair around for her. So please let her know that I would have turned my chair around for her. And this is the first time I've ever heard David speak, and he was old before his time if he did that as a senior. That was quite impressive. So I think you'll do well up there on Beacon Hill. So, but you know, and he said it. You have a great legislative delegation. Senator Chandler, Senator Moore, Rep Mahoney, and all the others. But I got to tell you, Senator Moore is right. I've been out to Worcester on their request. I can't even count the number of times. You know, we went out there for Nelson Place. We went out there for this. We went out there for Doherty. I've seen Burncoat several times. We've done all these accelerator repair projects. So we do invest a lot of money in Worcester. And, you know, Benjamin Franklin once said, an investment in education pays the best interest. And we at the MSBA are so proud to be Worcester's investing partner. One more thing about, Maureen did a great job telling you the history of the topping off. But one of the things that I always like to recognize, and I hope some of them are here, it's the workers. And this is sort of a celebration of, you know, finishing the highest point of it. And so I know the steel workers are from Local 7. Anyone here from Local 7 back there? Shout out to Local 7. Oh, all those guys over there too, right? Hey, pay attention over there. We're giving you a shout out, Local 7. You know, I always close my remarks with this saying, and I think it'll have special meaning given what David told you about walls. There was a reporter for the Salt Lake City Tribune who once described a school as a building of 4 walls, and I think that's all we had were the 4 outer walls. Here, it's a building of 4 walls with tomorrow inside. And we at the MSBA are so proud to be part of Worcester's tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. And as we look forward to Burncoat High School, Mr. McCarthy. Our next speaker, who's been a real leader on the school committee and doing a wonderful job, very bright, very engaged in the school committee. Please welcome the Vice Chair of the School Committee, Molly McCullough.
Thank you, and it's such an honor for me to be here today, and I'd like to echo the sentiments that have been shared, thanking our local and state officials for helping us get here today with working with the MSBA to make sure that we're getting the funding we need to get our students the best buildings that we can possibly have. It's wonderful to see students here today, former principals, and just to share a little bit of my own history with the current South High building. My mother was actually a teacher at South High when it opened in 1978, and I can remember vividly as a young child running around this building that had no walls and wondering what's going on in this place. This doesn't look like the other schools I've been in. And as we now know, unfortunately, it was an ill-fated plan, and these students are going to get a state-of-the-art building that they so deserve. As elected leaders, what we can do for our children is one of the most important things that we do when we make decisions and when we vote, because children are our future. And it is such an important thing for us to continue to fight for these additional buildings and the funds for these additional buildings, knowing what that means for our future. And when Senator Rep. LaBeouf, sorry, I'm giving you a status upgrade, Rep. LaBeouf mentioned community. That's what I think of when I think of South High Community School. And to hear the discussion of Andy's Attic getting its own space when the build is done, when we talk about the additional vocational opportunities that students and community members are going to have, when we talk about the culinary program, it really ties in what South High is and what it means to the community. And it is certainly going to be a wonderful thing to see in 2021 when we get to see this completed building, and I certainly am excited to be a part of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Molly. Our next speaker is speaking for the district here in the Worcester City Council, and Matt Wally's been a great partner here, making sure this school, along with Authority High School, gets done right, working with Sarai Rivera, and who sends a lot of her kids to these schools, so from her district. So please welcome Matt Wally.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All summer long, no matter where I went, people would come up to me and they would say, we're so happy for the big construction project in Worcester. And we know the big construction project in Worcester is going to have an impact for the next 50 years. And they couldn't wait for spring of 2021 for the ribbon cutting at the big construction project in Worcester. And I don't know what they were talking about, but everyone here up here on Apricot Street certainly knows that the most important construction project happening in Worcester is on this side of Park Ave. And I can't wait for 2021, because what was said earlier, the most important part of the city is our students, and we can see them here today. We know they're on the other side in the school buildings under the tutelage of Principal Kramer. We know that this is a great project, and we know it's going to pay dividends for the next 50, 70 years down the line. And I just want to make one correction to our great superintendent, Maureen Benender, and our great city manager at Augustus. The project right now is actually ahead of schedule. So we're planning for spring of 2021. Hopefully it's going to be a month or two ahead of schedule, and more importantly, under budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt. Our next speaker, who I think has an impossible job in the city of Worcester with all the demands put on his department, but I think does a good job, and a good job with the schools, bringing them under budget, as Matt Wally was just saying. Paul Moose has been a real champion of the public schools and building of those schools, along with Les Adams. Please welcome Commissioner Paul Moose.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Rather than go through the traditional thanking everybody, just want to say that I can't be happier where we are today with this building. As Councilor Wally just said, we are a little bit ahead of schedule. We're going to get more of this closed in for the winter than we might have anticipated just a few months ago. And hopefully that will translate into an early completion. And hopefully we're trending under budget. We can stay there. This team has been great, from the architect to Heary, our OPM, to Fontaine Rich, our CM, all led by Assistant Commissioner Adams. I couldn't ask for a better team here to make my life easy. I thought just sitting here, it was kind of appropriate that this area behind me is the diesel mechanic, the Chapter 74 program. This will be big enough to put in full-size trucks, full-size trailer truck. And I really want to see this done because, frankly, at DPW and Parks, we could use some diesel mechanics. So I'm hoping Maureen can get us some good students here out of this particular program, because we're always looking for mechanics, along with so many other companies. But no, frankly, a school like this can do a lot for the community, but it also can give back to the community. You know, Public Works has all kinds of professions, whether it's architects, engineers, all types of workers, and this is what we need for the future. And part of that future is just the city departments that need help. So hopefully in a few years we'll start seeing some results from this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. And our final speaker, someone who I got to know over the last few years, who's a graduate of South High, and the principal of South High, doing a wonderful job, I think, and going to be a recipient of a brand new high school in a few years. Please welcome up Jeff Kramer, principal of South High School.
Good morning, everyone. As principal of South High Community School, I'm humbled to be part of such an important ceremony. commemorating the hard work that it's taken to build this new school. I stand here with mixed emotions, excited for the amazing opportunities the future South High will bring in technology, CVT programming, athletic fields, a beautiful theater, community partnerships, and much more. But at the same time, I'm a little nostalgic to say goodbye to our current South High. South High has an amazing tradition of graduating students who are ready for the world ahead of them. And I will tell you, former principals, there's not an alumni event that I attend that all your names don't get mentioned. And thank you all for the great memories that were created in that building from all of our alumni. As we prepare for South High Community School, this project reflects our dedication to community and celebrates our greatest strength, our diversity and culture. From the beginning, our greatest stakeholders, our students, have been involved in the design of the new building and have worked to make the future space one that highlights our diversity, celebrating our past while making room for our future. It is a priority for us to include our students. This beam has been signed by every 9th and 10th grader as they will be the first students to enter the new building. This is a proud moment for me, for our staff, our community, and most importantly, our students who are excited to carry the torch and continue the greatness of South High when they enter our new space in 2021. I would like to thank all the people who took it. It takes a great team to get a building like this built, and I'd like to thank you all. And in closing, on behalf of our alumni, current and future colonels, I would like to sincerely thank Superintendent Benenda for giving us the opportunity to have such an amazing facility. As our hated rivals, Yankee Stadium is known as the house that Babe Ruth built, this school will always be known as the house that Maureen Benenda built. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, this brings us to the closing of the program. We're going to have the signing of the beam, followed by the hoisting of the beam, and followed by a coffee in. If people are interested, I guess around the corner somewhere. And I'm going to go up and sign it along with the school committee, followed by with the superintendent and the city manager with me, and followed by the state delegation and city councilors, followed by the former superintendent and principals of the high school. And so once you all come up, we'll start to see the